Hello everyone, today I have a review. I am going to be reviewing for you all the Critical Thinking Company Building Thinking Skills Level 1. So hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Michelle, the Brave Homeschooling Mama. I'm so happy that you're here. So if you're new, welcome. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my homeschooling videos. So today I am reviewing, as part of Homeschool Review Crew, the Building Thinking Skills Level 1 from the Critical Thinking Company. And this is a book for grades 2 to 3rd grader. I'm using this with my son who is going into the 3rd grade, and he is 8 years old. So this is a book. This Building Thinking Skills is a book to help your child work on their academic skills by working on different activities to work on their reasoning skills. So from the book, I'm going to read you really quick some of the skills that your child is going to be working to improve, some of the things that they're going to be improving by working on the skills in this book. So they're going to be working on analysis, problem solving, vocabulary, reading, writing, math, logic, visual processing, and auditory processing. So this book, it is not an easy book it is a challenging book. My son, a couple of times we were working through the assignments in here, he kept saying, "These are hard." And I kept telling him that it's supposed to be a little bit hard because they are supposed to be challenged. I'll show you the inside in a second. Some other things that you work in this book with your child, you're going to be working on following directions. You're going to be working on, following, reading directions and oral directions. Also working on some math skills and graphic organizers. So you're going to be working on a variety of skills while you're working through this book. So I'm going to read you. So this book is separated into different chapters. Chapter 1, we were working on describing shapes. So we just got through the beginning of chapter 1. Chapter 2 is, similarities and differences in shapes. Chapter 3, figural sequences. Chapter 4, figural classifications. Chapter 5, figural analogies. And chapter 6, describing things. Verbal similarities and differences, verbal sequences, verbal classifications, and verbal analogies. So as you can see, your kids, when working through this book, they're going to be working through a variety of skills. When you're working on this, when your child is working on the skills, like I mentioned before, some of the assignments here will be challenging for your child. I had to sit down. My son did not work on this independently. I sat with him and we worked through the assignments together. We're going to start, each chapter kind of begins and progresses, developmentally. So we start with a more kind of concrete and then more to the abstract, as you will see. So that's when they get to the more abstract skills or pages, that's when it got a little bit more complicated for him. There were some writing to do in here too, and my son struggles with writing. So what I decided, some of the things he did, instead of him writing, I either wrote it for him, or we just did it orally. So that's a way, that you can work if you have a child that has some trouble with the physical act of writing. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the book really quick. So I just read you, so this is the table of contents that I just read to you, the different activities or the different chapters that we have. Then we have about this book, so what is the book about? And then we have the chapter. So if you can see here in chapter 1, where you're going to be describing shapes, where we start by identifying shapes. So that's more of the concrete. And then describing shapes, describing position, finding shapes and patterns and characteristics of a shape. Okay, so these are the different things that we, gradually going to be working on. So for the first one, it was very simple. It gave him a, description. Like a circle is a closed curve that looks the same from any side, and he had to look at the pictures and figure out which one was the circle and put, the letters. So this one's were pretty easy for him. He was able to read it and then find out which one was the answer. Okay, so here also identifying shapes. And this one was, describing shapes. And here, he had to do some writing. It says, this blank has blank sides and 3 angles. So there were also some things that we were working that he didn't know what an angle was. It's only in, he just finished, second grade. So he was not familiar with angles at all. So we, something that we talked about, and I showed him what an angle is and how to identify the angles and the shape. So, also some, learning some new vocabulary. Okay, so in here we're working on position. You can see that. Describing position, another one describing, position, where we're looking at this chart right here. He will read the question, and then he needs to find out which one is the sentence I'm talking about. Okay, for example, it says, this shape is below the yellow rectangle and right of the green circle. Okay, so he has to find the shape. He needs to figure out where it's left, where it's right, where it's, beside, so that was for that. More describing shapes. Okay, I'll show you some more here. So for some of these, like for this one, we did it, he was able to do it, but we did it orally. So instead of him, having to write, because that causes a lot of frustration for him, he just, told me what he wanted me, what he wanted to say. And then when we were working on here, he told me the answers and I wrote it down for him. Okay, I prefer for him to get more out of the assignment than having to struggle so much with the writing and the challenge for that. So we have that here. So I'm going to show you a little bit more kind of in the middle of the book. In here, you want matching figures. Okay. So these are good if your child, for that cognitive thinking, critical thinking skills. This is just a great book for that. So this one, they're comparing shapes. Let me go back a little bit more. So here it says, paper folding, the sequence of shapes. We have. So once we're done with the shapes, then we're going to be talking about describing things. So, we'll look at these pictures, and you're going to have to answer, questions based, by looking at the pictures above. Describing things. There's some of the ones describing animals, describing places. So they're going to be working with so many things. At first, they're going to be working on those shapes. So they're going to be working on those math, vocabulary, on those visual, spatial skills. Here, they're going to be working on those, descriptive words. They're going to be working on their writing. So here, talking a little bit, about opposites. So there's a variety of things that the child's going to be working as they work through the book. Go here, a little bit of deductive reasoning. So this is something that's not easy if your child might not be able to complete this independently. My child was not able to do it independently. I had to sit with him, and we did one. We worked about 2 or 3 times a week through that, review period. And then working on some analogies. So your child is going to be working on a lot of test-taking skills, but are also going to be working on some math skills, some reading skills. There's some map skills in here. So there is a variety of activities. What I plan to doing with him, while we were working through the review period, we did about, like I mentioned, about 2 to 3 pages a week. But once school starts, I plan maybe taking 1 day a week and maybe doing 2 pages with him. I think it's something is good to continue working, getting his brain, because it is challenging. It's not an easy assignment to do. And he tells me, Mommy, this is hard. And I keep telling him, it is supposed to be hard. It is, challenging you. You're working on those, critical thinking skills and your reasoning skills. So your child's going to have to think a little bit more, and you might have to sit down with him if it's, or her if it's a younger child. But I can also see, it says, second to third grade, but I can also see an older child working on this independently. So if you can have like maybe a 4th and a 5th grader or 6th grader, working through some of these activities in here, and that's something that they can do independently. But if you work with the younger ones, 2nd, 3rd grade, you might have to sit with them and do some of the activities, some of the pages with them, especially the ones that are more abstract, at the end of that chapter or section. So this is a wonderful resource for you to have in your homeschool. Even if you homeschool, you don't homeschool, this is just a wonderful resource for your child to work on those critical thinking skills, reasoning skills that are going to help them not just in those, test-taking skills, but for math, for reading, for science, social studies. There's so many skills that your child's going to be working on just by working in this book. So I totally recommend if you're looking for something like this, to go ahead and check them out. I'm going to put below the link for where you can find this product and other products. There's a lot of different products that the Homeschool Review Crew is reviewing from Critical Thinking Company. So make sure you check those out. Also there's some maths and some grammar things. So make sure you check those out if you're looking for something like that. So thank you so much for watching. Again, remember to check the description box where you can find this product, and also where everyone's review is going to be located. Make sure you come back for my next homeschooling video. Thank you.